All right, let's talk about uncertainty. You know, that feeling of being lost in static, just stuck. But what if it wasn't some kind of personal flaw? What if it was actually a signal? A signal that you could learn to read and maybe even control. Let's dig in.
You know that feeling, right? That mental static where you're just pulled in a million different directions and you can't find a single clear channel? Well, that internal noise, that's uncertainty. And today, we're going to figure out how to find the tuning knob. So, to really get a handle on this, we first need to understand what that noise is actually made up of. Turns out, it's not just one thing. It's happening on a few different levels all at once.
Okay, so this framework breaks it all down into 3 layers. And we know the first 2 really well, don't we? First, there's the intellectual level. That's just the simple, frustrating thought, I just don't know. Then comes the emotional level, that knot in your stomach, the anxiety, the stress. But here's where it gets interesting. This model adds a 3rd level called the nexus. This is the idea that the real issue is a disorganized energy field, that your own intention has become unclear. And the theory is that's the root cause of all the other static we feel.
And this disorganization isn't just some abstract concept, right? It shows up in very real ways. You can't make a decision to save your life. Your body's all tensed up. You feel that stress physically. But here's the kicker. That messy energy radiates from you. It actually confuses the people around you. It might even make them want to just take over and make the decision for you, which, of course, just makes you feel even more uncertain. It's a nasty little vicious cycle.
Man, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? When you're uncertain, you're not broadcasting a clear signal that the world can respond to. You're just broadcasting noise. You're sending out pure static.
Okay, so if uncertainty is just static, how do we find that tuner? How do we find a clear station? Well, this brings us to the core idea here, a whole new way of looking at the problem, and it's called the Coherent Nexus.
Here is the big, essential reframe. The Coherent Nexus asks us to stop seeing uncertainty as a personal failure and start seeing it as incoherence. It's a measurable mismatch between the energy we're feeling and the outcome we want. It treats uncertainty not as a sign that we are broken, but as a signal that our system is just a little bit disrupted.
And this incoherence, it doesn't just pop up out of thin air. The sources point to a few key causes. It can start with that deep feeling of being separate, of being all alone in this. It gets way louder with our own conflicting thoughts. You know that inner battle of I can't do this versus but I have to. Then there's this really cool idea of negative morphic resonance, which is basically a fancy way of saying we unconsciously tune our own radio dial to the frequency of collective anxiety and doubt all around us. And finally, if you don't have a clear intention, well, your energy has no direction. It just drifts around, ready to get knocked off course.
So this brings up a really big question, doesn't it? I mean, we all know people who seem to just sail through absolute chaos with this calm sense of direction, while other people get completely swamped by the tiniest wave of doubt. What's up with that?
Well, the answer seems to be all about the strength of our internal coherence. Think of it like a muscle. If you grew up in a stable, loving environment, it's like you are taught how to tune into the frequency of trust from day one. Your coherence muscle is strong. On the flip side, if you've been through trauma or a lot of negative stuff, it can create these little distortions in your energy field, making it way harder to find a clear signal. For some of us, finding certainty is just a less practiced skill.
But here's the really good news. An unpracticed skill can be practiced. A weak connection can absolutely be strengthened. This next part is all about the practical, real-world steps we can take to restore our own inner compass and get that feeling of clarity back.
Okay, so what do we actually do? It's a 3-step process. Step 1, restore coherence. The goal here is not to find the answer. The goal is just to calm the noise. Use breath work, meditation, whatever works for you, just turn down the volume on the static. Step 2, set a clear intention. Once things are a little quieter, pick a clear, positive focus. It doesn't have to be the grand solution, just a simple direction like I am open to clarity. Step 3, visualize the feeling. And this is so powerful. Don't focus on the answer. Focus on the feeling you want to have, that feeling of relief, of certainty. By doing that, you start broadcasting that coherent frequency before you even know what you're doing next.
That's why your intention is so critical. It really is like a compass. Imagine you're lost in a thick fog. A compass doesn't magically make the fog disappear, but it gives you a direction. It points north. It aligns your energy and gives you that first crucial step to start moving forward and out of the static.
So once you learn how to stabilize your own signal, you can do something pretty remarkable. You can become a source of clarity for other people. You can actually go from being the one caught in the storm to being the lighthouse. Let's talk about what it means to be a coherent anchor.
So how does this work when you're dealing with other people? Well, when someone comes to you in a total panic, the natural, incoherent response is to match their chaotic energy, right? To add to the noise. But the coherent response, it's to become an anchor. By staying calm and certain yourself, you create this stable, reassuring energy field that they can literally tune into. Your stability becomes their lifeline back to clarity, often without you having to say a single word.
And this works for whole groups too. In your team, in your family, you can be that beacon of stability. Your calm presence can literally shift the entire group's energy. And what's really powerful is when you help everyone align on one single shared intention. When you do that, you create a collective field of coherence that can lift everybody out of the confusion altogether.
So in the end, the biggest takeaway is this. What if we just stopped seeing uncertainty as some enemy we have to fight? What if instead, we started hearing it as a kind of notification bell, a little ping from our own internal system, just inviting us to pause, tune out all that static, and reconnect with a much clearer frequency? So, my question to you is, what are you going to tune into first?